Yes, guys, welcome back to SFeatleyTV. Oh god, my, there you go, that's better. Back to SFeatleyTV, and we're here to talk more about Arsenal. But I have to introduce a very, very special guest. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome. You probably know him as a professional snooker player, and winner of the 2022 Welsh Open, Joe Perry. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, bright and
Yeah.
breezy this
So
morning.
yeah, definitely, and we'll just yeah. But first of all, before we go on a little bit Arsenal, congrats on winning the Welsh Open this year. How do you feel your career in snooker is going so far?
Yeah, it's been good. Obviously, there's always room for improvement. I think all sports people and people in general are sort
Mm,
of a little bit perfectionist. There's been opportunities I've missed in my career. Probably trophy cabinet, could be a bit more full up, but it's tough. Everyone's out to achieve the same goals. There's so many great players out there, and it's not easy to win
mm,
tournaments. And only the very very best win multiple events. Like Ronnie's and John Higgins, Selby's,
mm,
people like that. They're the absolute pinnacle of our sport. So it's hard to beat them sort of people on a regular basis.
mm. I think it's also for people that don't watch it. It's hard to fathom of how difficult it is just to even play snooker until they actually get into a snooker themselves. And most snooker clubs, as you know, like the pockets aren't they're a bit more forgiving than they are on the match table. So yeah, so but it's just about how you um yeah. I'm not that great on the snooker table, but pool table I'm alright, but snooker table I've got a lot to be desired. I'm very, very rusty.
Mm. Yeah,
So
I won't mind a pound for everyone that's ever said to me, "I'm not very good at snooker, but I'm really good at pool." To be honest, there is similarities. Obviously
mm,
it's a cue sport, billiard sport, but that's where the similarity ends. Really, the games couldn't be any more
mm,
different. Totally different concept of playing snooker and pool. I'm biased because I'm a snooker player, but I honestly do. I've played lots of sports. As growing up, I'm not bad at football. Can play golf,
mm,
darts, and all those sort of things. But I just think snooker is just the hardest thing because the hardest thing about snooker is like most other sports, you get a chance to rectify a mistake. If you hit a bad golf shot, you can follow it up with a
yeah.
really good one. If you play a bad tennis shot, you can, play a winner with your very next shot.
Mm.
Snooker, you don't get the opportunity. You play a bad shot, and then you're then totally dependent on your opponent making the mistake.
Yeah, it's also very hard to also like if you play a bad shot and you left yourself maybe short on the cue ball, for example, it's very difficult to get yourself back perfect, and it also makes it very easy to miss the next shot.
Yeah, and you're
Um,
always doing more than one thing at once in snooker. You're not only potting the ball, you're potting the ball in such a way to get on the next ball in such a way to get on the next ball. So, you know, I do play golf, and I appreciate how difficult golf is technically. But in golf, you're just hitting that one shot to an area, so you can hit your next
yeah,
shot. It's a little bit more. There's a little bit more to it in snooker, but the thing that makes snooker a little bit easier is that you don't need that level of fitness to be able to play.
mm.
So it sort of counteracts itself a little bit.
That's why I've been because obviously with everyone knowing I'm not well, like that's always been a very good given for me. Is that I can sort of play that quite happily for a few hours and not get
Mm.
too tired about it. So yeah, I mean, um, I feel like I said with the pool table, I had a mate of mine who lives around in the area. He's an ex England pro, so he's he sort of helped us for about a year or two. And it's usually pub leagues that are usually playing,
Mm.
and it's I mean, it's always an excuse just to have a night out, isn't it? So it's all good fun and like
Yeah, no,
but
I've played pool over the time. I've been out to China and played in like the world pool events out there, Chinese 8 ball. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of skill in it. Like any sport played at the highest level is extremely skillful, and any top pool player will beat any snooker player at pool without a doubt, because the games are that different and they're experts in their field. It's just, but it's like you say, it's if you're not playing sport professionally, it's all about fun and enjoyment, and that's what you're looking to do. And if it's easy to pop balls at pool and it's more enjoyable, then go out and do it.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, we're going to move on because obviously everyone that just go through some of the comments first. Big up. Yesterday, looking forward to this stream. Love watching snooker on the TV. I think the best thing about it is when you get those tactical battles as well. Is when like you're having those tactical apples. Some people might say it means you just sort of have to be patient with it. But it's like when you see a shot that's like puts everyone else that screws your opponent up completely. It's
well, yeah, I've sort of moved into the sort of commentary side of snooker a little bit more the last few years, and when I'm commentating, I prefer them tactical, drawn out frames, the sort of tense, close finishes. There's great skill in making 100 breaks, but to be honest, the best TV and the best drama is when it goes down to the colours and it's close. There's a few missed shots, a few good safety shots. Like you say. They're the most impressive frames.
Was it Steve Davis and that legendary final?
Dennis Taylor, 1985, yeah, Blackpool finish. You can't create drama like that. You can't create that sort of drama with a century break. It just doesn't happen. You need that sort of finish to really make it what it's.
That's like the equivalent of, say, maybe scoring the last goal in the season to win it, like sort of what Man City did to win the title. So that's snooker's equivalent of how, like, you can also probably even through the TV sort of feel the tension of it. But yeah, obviously we're talking about Arsenal. How do you feel? I want to gauge how do you feel about the season just gone? How do you feel Arsenal have been? Your thoughts. We'll go through your thoughts on the manager as well. But how do you feel that last season played out for you?
It was a real up and down season, really. It looked like it was going to be really tough at the beginning. I'll be honest, some of the transfers we made didn't really excite me, but I was proven wrong as the season progressed. Ben White did look every penny, the £50 million defender. Ramsdale shocked everyone, I think. No one thought it was going to be that good. Odegaard looks a steal now at that price. So I think in terms of the transfers, it was a success. Just a bit too inconsistent, really. I think the reason for that was we really lacked that cutting edge goal scorer. A lot of games where we sort of dominated or was in the game. We just couldn't get that. And I don't like talking about them because obviously we all hate them, Tottenham. But they was not involved in so many matches last year. But they had Kane or Son just pop up and score that goal, and it made all the difference. And Arsenal never really had that player. I think if we had Kane or Son in our team last year, I think we would have comfortably finished in the top 4, maybe even top 3. And I think it just sort of just undermined us a little bit. But all in all, it was definitely progress, but just disappointing in the end to miss out, especially to them.
I mean, for me, as everyone knows on my channel, and I usually end up going in and on a rant about it usually, but I'm not with sort of the manager on this, and when I looked at the season as a whole, there were so many chances we could have taken to take fourth, and it's not just maybe the inconsistencies of the fact that we've not had the cutting edge. It's the fact that we've got a young side. Like if you by design we've created a young side with no experience, and if you've got no experience in there, you're always going to end up having inconsistent. These players are always going to be inconsistent as they're still learning their trade. Yet you're relying on them game after game to to get us top 4. And I think the difference with Tottenham is that they knew they weren't going anywhere with Espirito Santo. They took Conte in, took him a few months to get used, get the 2 players that they spent in the transfer window in January. We didn't, and it proved dividends for them, because in the key games where we needed to, there was offers in January where if we'd taken that offer, like Ronaldo on loan, for example, we could have easily had a different result, say like the Newcastle game and maybe even the Spurs game. So Arteta, Arteta for me, I think he's I will go far. If anyone says improvements, I'd say he's stabilised the club. We were in a bad place when he turned up, and yeah, he won the FA Cup and he stabilised this. But for the amount of money we've spent on him, I don't see any real progression.
No, I think this year is huge.
My standards are very high.
I think this year is massive. I think he has to push on again. Top 4 has to be a given this year. If we're 5th again, then we can't just keep hanging on for this.
It's going to be harder next year.
Process. It's going to be harder. And like I said, last year it was a missed opportunity without a doubt. Even though I don't think top 4 was the realistic target to start the season, I don't think Arsenal ever expected to get there. We just put ourselves in that position where basically it was ours to lose, and we did lose it. But it will be tougher this year. You're right. Newcastle are going to be stronger. United are going to be stronger. Tottenham are going to improve. So we've got another 2 or 3 teams there to compete with that we didn't have to compete with last year. So, like I say, this year, I think I'm all for. I'm not one for hiring and firing managers, even though I would love to have, at the beginning of the season, got Arteta out and got Conte in. But now that's not going to happen. So I think give Arteta half a season. If we're looking good for top 4, let's go with it. If not, then I think it could be time to move on.
Yeah, I respect that as well. And the thing I find with my standards are very high, and I expect that if you've spent that much money, I expect some real forward progression. And I don't, and it's like I said before, I don't feel there's been the aggression, the progression that I feel is warranted. And I think the clear and obvious sign of that is that we played Villarreal 2 seasons ago to get you Champions League football, and he threw that away because his formation, his tactics were wrong. And then last season, and then this season just gone, numerous chances to take 4th, and he's thrown that away as well. So, yeah. So for me, I would. It's definitely going to be harder now. If we did get rid of Arteta, who could we possibly get? But that's where I need to look at the board and start thinking we need maybe to put pressure on them to actually to actually put pressure on them to actually be ambitious, because I don't feel there's any ambition.
Well,
from the top of the club.
There's potential managers out there that would really fit the job. I think look at the job Vieira done in his first year. And he would be a fan favourite. That is no doubt. So
I wouldn't.
I think that's a future. That's a future manager. I like what I'm reading. I know it's all just gossip and paper stuff, but there must be some sort of an element of truth in it. If the players they're looking at are potentially coming into Arsenal this season, I think then if we do get a Jesus or a Tielemans or something like that, then I think then Arteta really has to step up to the plate, because that's a pretty strong team then, and it's all his team. He's got rid of the bad blood in the club. He's got rid of Aubameyang. Ozil's gone. Guendouzi's not coming back. So it's pretty much his team now from front to back. So I think next year is the year to judge him.
yeah, for me, like this season just gone, and last season was really like if um if there is a time to judge him, these 2 seasons are the ones to judge him on. Because yeah, there's still a few players that are still back from Wenger's era, but most of it is. I would still count them as his players because he put them on new deals in the first place. He said he trusted in them. He wants them there. So okay, then you take responsibility if they're not performing. So and um yeah, and I think a few of them still need kicking out the door. Xhaka's one of them. Xhaka's one of them. Uh, it's funny you mentioned Ben White because I don't think Ben White's useful at all. To be honest, I
Well,
think I
I
think
think
it's
he was better than
atrocious.
what we had. You know, you look at the players we've had over the last few years at centre back, and he's you know he's better than a
Mm.
Mustafi and people like that. You know, we're yet to see if
Yeah,
this Saliba. You know, he looks tremendous in France, but we all know the French
play
league isn't quite
this.
as tough as the English Premier League. So, you know,
I
if
would
he's
say.
as good as they're saying, then maybe he
Mm,
will replace Ben White. And Ben White's a very good backup central
yeah.
defender. So, you know, it's not just about the first 11. We've seen that because last year when we were doing well, a couple of key injuries to Tierney and Partey, and basically our team was finished. So, you know, you need quality players to come in to replace these players when they fall out the
To
first
be
11.
to be fair, when those injuries happened, yeah, we lost against Brighton and Southampton after that, but then we beat Man United, we beat
Mm.
Chelsea, and we put ourselves back in a situation where we were in control of our own sort of destiny. But by the way, big up, thanks Nav for sharing it. If I'm not reading out the comments, I am putting them up and I am reading them. It's just like trying not to spoil the flow of the show as well. Um, it, but I feel for me is that um, I I mean for me, Saliba's great. Has been a great option. And if he was at PSG and he was doing bits, I could say, all right, but PSG, look at the side they've got. Like, it's you've got, but PSG are going to win the league. Like when the season starts, pretty
Mm.
much. The fact that not just Saliba, but also Quindouzi is are performing like they are at Marseille. And the reason I say Guendouzi is that, like, compared to some of the defenders, midfielders we've got, defending midfielders, yeah, he's got an attitude, but sometimes you need that on the pitch
I
at
really like
times.
him.
Uh,
I'm gutted that you know, and the money he's going for. Like he's a French international. He's being sold for 10 million.
yeah,
It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, I'd keep him all day long and just try and sort his attitude out if that's what the problem is. Because he is, you know, you're going to go and pay 30, 40 million for someone who is maybe as good as him. I just don't get it. I'd keep him personally, but
so obviously I've been doing, obviously we're doing a load of transfer news as well. There's news about Scamacca coming to the club. There's which I don't know anyone. I can't judge him. I don't know who he is. So I can't judge. You have to spit on the right places and build your team around them. Unfortunately, Arteta fell out. So the top players instead of um, thoughts on Arsenal being linked with Jesus, Tielemans, Morata. Well, like that, to be fair, no, Arsenal are usually linked to everyone during the transfer window. Like if that, like they usually find anything to link us to anyone, like even the best players. Um, But I asked, Bargav's come up with a great question, and I remember say did another friend of mine that in the chat has done another one as well. Who is your dream signing? And say asked, who is your favourite Arsenal player of all time?
my favourite all player of all time is pretty easy. It's Dennis Bergkamp. He's
Okay,
just an absolute class player. That's when I used to go to Arsenal a lot when I sort of used to go just towards the end of us leaving Highbury. That's when I used to go and watch Arsenal the most. I was sort of getting to sort of 10, 15 games a season for 2 or 3 years, and that was that was the sort of Bergkamp era.
Yeah, my first game was luckily at Highbury before it went, which is the season before. It was a 1-1. It was a boring 1-1 draw against West Brom, to be honest. But luckily they got a season. They had mates who had season tickets, and they gave the tickets to us, to me and my dad. So we could go to Highbury. I already seen the stadium from getting the shirts, but cause we used to live down in
I think
London.
my first ever game was in about 1985, something like that. Around about that sort of time, it was Arsenal v Watford, and John Barnes was playing for Watford, and that was my first ever Arsenal game.
Did we win?
We won. Yeah, we won. We beat. We won 1-0. I think it was a penalty, something like that. I can't remember.
I think that was the Terry Neal Donnell days, wasn't it? Before that was before George Graham came in as well. So
just before that, yeah.
Exactly. Xhaka, he re-signed and no one else wanted him. He signed Ben White and relies on Saka.
I do get the sort of dislike for Xhaka, but okay, if we're going to do any good in the Premier League, we need to have better than Xhaka in the team. But the results sort of suggest that we're better with him. So
would you take Tielemans in? Would you take Tielemans in?
Yeah, I like Tielemans. I think Basuma would help our team more. When you got Odegaard sort of doing all the tricks, I think Basuma would be that man just to sort of steady the ship.
I think we missed out on him last season. I think that's
the reports are linking us again, but he's got this sort of court case thing looming over him, so I don't know what.
Yeah,
don't really want to comment on that, but I think that's sort of putting a lot of people off because go back before that happened, he was sought after by many top clubs, and he looks like a real classy player, but we don't know what's going on outside of football. So
yeah, of course, I love Bendiz. It's a shame how it's happened. I don't. I wouldn't say Morata to be fair.
Well, I don't know why we've been linked with a centre half. To be honest, we got Gabriel, White, we got Saliba coming back. I don't think we're really desperate to pay out a lot of money. If our budget's not that big, I don't know why we're going to waste 20-30 million on a centre back. We need. There's other youngsters we can bring in if we're really that short.
I mean, the first thing we need is Jesus, and I mean, not a striker. Jesus is strongly linked, and the only problem I find with Arsenal is they take for ages to do anything, and then someone else will come in and nick him. Bit like what Liverpool have done with Darwin Núñez. He looked like he was going to go to Man United.
Looking at the money, I don't think we was ever in the hunt for that one. I don't think we're at the stage at the moment of paying 80 million for a striker.
Well, we're 10. They've offered 10 million less. So if they've offered 10 million less than 200 grand a week, then if you really want him and you really think he's the answer, then go and do it. I'm not sure.
I'd like players to come in that already know the league, because I think the league is. I think it's very easy.
Jesus is already known in the league.
Exactly. I think it's very easy to be impressed by these players from other leagues with their stats and things, but it's proven there's no league in Europe as tough as the Premier League. Every single team's got world-class players, internationals, good solid defenders. You look at some of them games in the Spanish league and the French league, them teams at the bottom of the league are pretty much not even like championship level. So it's very easy to get sort of carried away by some of the stats we see. Whereas Jesus, okay, he's not a prolific, he's not a 20, 30 goals season striker, but he would definitely do a job for us.
That's the thing. That's the only problem I have with him, is the fact that you're playing for Man City, and let's be honest, Man City, the amount of chances they create per game are phenomenal, and you still are struggling to get over 20 goals a season, which is why they don't want you to be the replacement for Aguero. I think they're signing Haaland for that now. So, but look, he can do something, I definitely feel he can do a job for us, but I don't think he's the sole answer. So, like, when I look at this Scamacca, he looks decent. I don't know too much about him, so I can't make a judgment. But the only thing I can judge is his stats, and when I do look at the stats, and yeah, you take him with a pinch of salt, but he looks half decent, and from what I'm hearing is that he's got a promising future ahead of him. Especially when it being at international already, so at 23 years of age. So
surely if we get Jesus, we're not looking at two strikers because they've just signed Nketiah back up on a big contract. You know, is
you agree with that?
Balogun going to stay around the squad this season? You know, he's highly regarded. So, you know, if we're going to
Do
get an
you
out striker, then we got them two as backup. But I don't really see the point in spending more money on strikers.
do you agree with Nketiah staying, or do you think he should be going?
Oh, well, I think it's a big contract for someone, you know, with his sort of return. But you know, you look at the market. You know, if you let him go on a free, you've got to pay sort of 20, 30 million to get someone in of that standard plus wages. So financially, it probably makes sense. You know, if he wants to be there, he looked as good as he's ever looked. I think towards the end of last season, but you know, same again. Was he playing for a contract? We don't know. We've seen a lot of players in the past, Arsenal and elsewhere, play their best football when they're looking for a new contract.
Absolutely. Let me just go. What do you think happened after Highway that led to lack of titles?
Well, just lack of investment, and other teams come up, didn't they, with a lot of money? You know, Chelsea appeared. All of a sudden, they was in the running to
Kroenkes came in.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we stopped being one of the biggest sort of investors in the team. We never replaced the you know, that Invincible side was phenomenal. You know, it comes along once in a lifetime.
I think he broke that up probably a little bit too early for me.
Yeah, we never sort of replaced the players. You know, we started letting world class World Cup winners players go and bringing in, you know, players that may have been good one day, and it was just a massive drop in standard, and it just sort of roller coasted out of control, really.
Yeah, and that's been the whole problem for me, and what I don't like is about the fact that the standard has been dropped, and then it's been dropped gradually over time. So, getting it back up is going to be like, as well. I sort of look at like for next season is like, don't accept anything less than top four, and if he's not producing, right, then you've got to show that you're not happy with it, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's as much as I hate.
I think give until Christmas, and if we're not looking like, you know, real contenders for top four or even higher, then yeah, if we're floating around sort of 7th and 8th come Christmas, then I think that's it. Especially if he gets some of the players we've just talked about. You know, if they're in the squad, then you know he's got to be pushed on and bring someone in that can sort of manage that sort of level of achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. We need, like, because there can't be any excuses after what happened last season. I'm not even gonna hear the fact that everyone's got like an elite manager. Well, you chose to keep Arteta here, so like if you trust him that much, you should be able to give him the money to go and actually compete with him. Whereas the thing is that, like, and here's the thing, we don't like talking about them, but Spurs, for example, like, and this is probably how crucial top four was. They've made 2 signings already.
I don't think that's. I think, like, I've seen a few things on Twitter. If Arsenal had made them signings, half the fan base would be going mental.
Yeah,
he signed a 33-year-old who's not. We don't know how good he's going to be, and a reserve keeper. You know, it's not.
What I do feel though is that if anyone can get a tune out of them, it would be Conte.
There's no doubt. He's a world class manager, without a doubt. You know, he was sitting there waiting. It almost seemed as though, you know, I think he was waiting for the United job, but you know they didn't want to go with it. He was, you know, Arteta had gone, I think he was a shoe-in for Arsenal, but he's gone. That's it. He's gone now. So let's just hope he doesn't do that good.
So, like, if Arteta was to be sat next season, if we had an awful start, out of all the managers out there, who would you go for?
Well, obviously who we'd go for, but it's not all of them are available, are they? You're not going to get a Klopp or a Guardiola, but I don't know. There was a lot of talk about Brendan Rodgers. I don't know. He's decent, but is he the man to take you that step higher? I don't know.
I'm not sure
I did
he
like
is.
the look of the guy that's just took over at United. I thought he had like a lot of Arsenal about him. That Ajax sort of. There's a bit of tradition with Arsenal and Ajax.
He looks like the player. He looked like the manager that could quite easily, if we got rid of Arteta with the young side we've got, he could have slipped straight in place.
Yeah, exactly.
I
talked to my brother about it a lot, and we both said that if we could get one in, we would have took him at Ajax, but that's not available now. So that's that. What do? You just don't know, do you? Look at Emery. He looked like a good manager when he come in, but it just didn't fit. It just didn't work. Maybe he needed more time. I don't know, but you just never know. You can have great managers, but
to be fair,
do well at that club.
To be fair with Emery, like, if he had been backed, I'd say like Arteta has. I think his first season he would have probably got top 4, so we were a point off it, and we were third at one point. For me as well is that he was never really supported, and as soon as he made it very clear he wasn't getting the backing he deserved, like the board were quite happy to get rid of him, because then it relays to them. So so I feel that, and you can see once he'd left and gone to say Villarreal, like he's managed, like I couldn't see Arteta getting us to the semi-final with the run they had, and also scare Liverpool and then he knock them out of the semi-final as well. So
I think Arteta has got the backing of the board, and in a way that's a good thing. You want unity in the club, you want it to be harmonious and stuff like that, but there's got to be a line. That backing has got to come to an end if he's not producing the goods on the pitch. So I always like to back the Arsenal manager. I'd definitely give him the first sort of 10, 15 games of the season after the transfer window, and then if it's not looking like a shoe-in for top 4, I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, Bentancur, I would have liked in January. Definitely, I would go Graham Potter or Mourinho at this point.
Yeah, Potter. That's the name. That's the one I was trying to think. Actually, he looks like he could go all the way. If he ever does get a big top 6 club, to me, he looks like he could, be the man sort of to break through as that top English manager. He looks exceptionally good.
I wouldn't want Mourinho because
I wouldn't want Mourinho.
I'd take
the trail one. I would take actually. Potter would be my first choice.
Yeah, I've always said that. I've always said Potter has got for me has got it for me. The reason I don't say Vieira, for example, and he's done well. I'm not saying Vieira's not done well. Vieira's done brilliantly at Palace, right? Especially the fact they had an old team and they had to bring in youngsters in.
No, I just think that the fans would
that
doesn't always work, does it? We've seen Glenn Hoddle went to Spurs and stuff like that.
That's the problem.
I think what the guys just put in the message there. I think I agree with him. I think Potter would be my my first choice if Arteta leaves.
Yeah, I feel that with the problem is that we've got this with Arteta at the minute, that he's been a player for us and won 2 FA Cups there, and then he's come back as a manager. I do feel if we bought Vieira in, who's got a legendary status already, if he was a legendary status already, and he comes in and it all goes wrong, then it'd be like tearing your soul out to try and say no. You'd be tearing your soul out.
It wouldn't be nice. It wouldn't be nice.
It would be horrible.
It wouldn't be nice if people boo him and talk about him as want him out and stuff like that. No, so
like
no,
what happened with
probably
Ollie,
not.
for example. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
would be
not
nice.
no, not we don't want that for Vieira, but no, I don't think. I think that's a bit.
For me, when I
Can't see that
want my
happening.
managers, I want managers that have no affiliation to the club, so that if it all goes wrong, we can like say, okay, you've had your time, right? We need to get someone. We need to get someone better. So that's always been my sort of
Yeah.
rule when trying to get a manager in. So, but yeah. Your thoughts on next season? Where do you think Arsenal will? How do you think Arsenal will do next season?
I don't know. I really don't. It's hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, if them transfers come in, you'd like to think we could sort of challenge third and fourth. I still think we're a couple of years away. Anyone's a couple of years away from getting top two. I think that's pretty much sewn up with Man City and
Yeah.
Liverpool for the next couple of years. All the time, Klopp and Guardiola are there.
What's the
and
minimum
defending.
you'd accept from
I think
Arteta then?
fourth has got to be the absolute minimum next season. A good
Okay.
run in, a good, or you know, if they really, if it's not looking good for like fourth, and they can really put a strong team out in the Europa League, try and get in that way. But I think Champions League at the end of next season is a must, whether it comes from the Europa League or top four. I think that has to be the minimum we accept.
That's definitely true. I don't understand why we're not competing for top players, and we're happy to take him. Well, that's the problem is when you're in Europa League, you don't have. And also, I think what also comes from having an elite manager as well is that you don't have that pull or attraction that top players want. Top players want to go play for the best managers. And
But I think we're building a team. I think we are looking a lot more attractive than we was 2 or 3 years ago. You know,
I would probably say that.
Saka is like phenomenal. You know, he's going to be one of Europe's best. We think Odegaard is a tremendous player. You know, if we kind of get someone like Jesus in, you know, Martinelli's coming on. I think if you're an aspiring footballer and you want to have you want to win things, I don't think Arsenal is that a worrying proposition as it was a couple of years ago, where it was a lot of infighting, a lot of not nice behind the scenes. I think it looks like a good club to come and join now. Personally,
yeah, it's definitely looking a little bit more harmonious. So yeah, we need to go after players like Gnabry, Haaland, Nunes, etc. But the problem is if other teams come in for him, we're pretty much stuck. Nunes, we're never going to get Nunes. We were never going to get him. No way.
Haaland, no.
Or Haaland. Like,
I think Gnabry would be a
those
fans' favourite. I think there's talk about it, but
yeah,
you know, you want at the end of the day, it's all right. These players saying I want Champions League football. If that's what they want, then we don't want them anyway. You know, if they want to come and play for Arsenal, it's a massive club with great tradition. You know,
you want players that will buy into what you're trying to do.
Exactly. Like, you know, if that's all they were coming for is Champions League football, then you know, as soon as Champions League football's not there, their heart's not going to be in it. So that's not really the sort of player you're looking for.
But again, it could be on the table with Lewandowski saying he's not renewing his contract at Bayern, and then you've got
there is an absolute elite centre forward. He would better any single team in Europe. I think not just Arsenal. He would go straight to any team.
He'd definitely better team. I'd love to see what he can do in the Premier League.
But I can understand someone
he's
like
got the power and presence. I want
Champions League football, you know, because he's in like the twilight of his career. He's got 1 or 2 years left. You know, you can understand him wanting to play Champions League football. I'm on about like a 23, 24-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have to. Doesn't have to be the be all and end all.
But I think with Lewandowski, what I was actually going to say is that I wasn't actually looking at Lewandowski as maybe signing. The idea is that because he's saying he's going to leave, they're trying to get, I think, Sadio Mane in as a replacement. I would presume.
Yeah.
It could open that if he has the player on the left as well. It could open a door for Gnabry to
Mm.
say, look, like you need to get out of Bayern Munich. You're not going to get game time.
Yeah.
And then like someone like Arsenal could say, yeah, well, we'll give you every week, right, and we'll get into the champion. If you work with us, we'll get into the Champions League next season.
Yeah. But I think that's, if I was a footballer, that it's difficult to say because you're not in their position. You don't know how you'd think. But I'd like to think that I'd rather like someone like Jesus. You know, okay, it's all right winning all these trophies at Man City, but he's going to be a bit part player next season when Haaland comes in. And like you just said about Gnabry, you know, is it that bad to play Europa League football but play week in week out for your club every single week? Is it that bad? I don't think it is personally. You know, if I was a footballer with an ambition, I'd be looking to go somewhere where I was going to be like wanted and play every week rather than just be a bit part sub.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, it's we're 40 minutes in, and
Yeah, I've got a few more minutes.
we've got a few more minutes. I do appreciate anyone that's come. Uh, Klopp is going to turn to Nunes into one on. That's the main thing for me. Like Nunes will become a great player, I think, with Liverpool. That's probably why he wants to go because he knows what Klopp can do with him. Big up Carl Walsh, big up Joe. If you haven't subscribed to Carl Walsh's channel, go and do so. We won't be getting any big players in as simple as we're not a big club anymore. It's sad to say. Um, Imagine signing Sane and Gnabry. Yeah, well, that would make my day, wouldn't it?
Wishful thinking, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think whatever. I've got high hopes. But then again, I start every season with high hopes. You know, but I think that's the way we got to do it. Start positive and just let us down slowly as they have done the last.
I'm gonna
15
start the other way.
years.
I'm gonna start the other way around and be a bit pessimistic, and then
Oh
they'll be
no, I don't like to be
surprised.
pessimistic.
No, I was gonna do it the other way around, and then
There's
they
no
can
fun in being
surprise. Then I'll be
pessimistic.
surprised. Like,
Yeah, well,
see.
that's an optimistic way of looking at it from a pessimistic point of view.
Yeah.
No, I like to always give them benefit of the doubt. You know, let's get a good transfer window and then get a good start. We haven't had a good start to the season for quite a while now, so you know, a good start might see us push on rather than putting us on the back foot instantly.
Would you guys take Aaron Hickey? I don't know much about him.
I haven't really seen a lot of him play. I heard good stuff. He's, you know, Tierney. I do really, really like Tierney as a person, what he says and the way he sort of conducts himself, and as a player. But unfortunately, he looks like he's going to be one of them sort of injury-prone players. So, if Hickey can be a better understudy than what Tavares is, then yeah, I'd take him. But I do think we're a better side, especially defensively when Tierney plays. I do really like him.
Yeah, definitely. I do feel as well as that he's also mentioned about also like the new goalkeeper as well that's coming from Turner as well. From the people that have watched him in also his international team, he's not actually been that bad of a keeper. So like at least that's like another option. I don't know what's going to happen with Burnley. I imagine he's going to still be the number 2 for me.
Yeah, well, I think they might try and offload him, mightn't they? Get some wages off the bill. We've still got quite a few players that, you know, are sort of like their squad players. You know, I always thought Maitland-Niles looked good when he played for Arsenal. Yeah, he's a good utility player. You know, he can play in many positions.
Yeah.
I think he's a good player. Torreira, you know, is he going to fetch us some money back? You know, there's quite a few players out there.
Chambers as well. Chambers was available as a DM as well.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is that, and it was DM, and it was that DM that really threw us.
Well, Maitland-Niles could have easily played left back.
Position.
I'd rather see him play left back than Xhaka or Tavares, but well, we let him go out on loan, didn't we? So
yeah,
come back to haunt us them injuries.
It's going to be hard with Manu and Roma. Who have we? inside so far. With just loads of rumours and that, but I think some of the rumours are pretty concrete and like it looked like it's going to get done. It's just going to be Arsenal, isn't it? It's going to take its time.
Of course it is. Yeah, nothing's ever straightforward. No,
nope.
It's always, like you say, we're linked to everyone. We always have been. We're a big talk.
The target, the timeline in the transfer window is we make one. We're linked to everyone, every Tom, Dick, and Harry in.
Yeah, but we're only linked via the media and the press. You know, Arsenal's a club that everyone loves to talk about, whether we're doing good or bad. So, you know, maybe the club aren't linked with these players. They just get our hopes up, the media, that we're linked to all these players.
Oh yeah, because they say he's in London. Because they're saying in North London, like they think they're linked there. Yeah. So you could say all these links anyway, and then you get to July, and then they're like, we'll probably bring one player in, right? And then you'll get to August. Right, we'll play the first 3 games of the season. There's still no transfers in. Right, we realise we've got a crisis, right, and then not panic buying by the last day of the season.
Well, if that is what happens, you know, then
that's kind of the usual way it happens.
I've not been an Arteta out person yet, but you know, if that's what happens and we get off to a bad start and Arteta starts saying, "Well, let's see when the team gets together," then yeah, he's got to go because that'd be 2 years on the trot. It's happened.
Yeah, I don't think that's not good enough. I'm just hoping the fans won't put up with like that again.
No, we've got top 4 has got to be a minimum requirement this year.
You've got to have a target. Like in any sport, you've got to have a target.
Yeah.
So,
we've always got to try and better the season before, haven't you? You know, that's your aim. You just keep improving, keep getting better. So the only way they can get better from 5th is to finish 4th. So
yeah. Big question. Hang on. Hand on heart. Do you honestly think we are good? We are good to have a good transfer window and make a good start of the season with this fraud of a manager. Yeah, a lot of people on it that we talk a lot and we don't usually rate the manager.
No, I get that. I'm getting that feeling. I'd like to say, you know, it was his first job. It was a really club in a big mess, you know. So I think we've got to give him some credit. All right, he hasn't set the world alight yet, but like we say, there was a lot of players in there that weren't good enough for Arsenal. He seems to have got a lot of harmony in the club. He's now got his own team, so I think this is the year to judge Arteta, and I'm open to it. If he doesn't do any good, get rid of him. If he does good, then you've got to back him. I think it's hard to judge him on that first season. We was club, all right. We had a lot of good players on paper, but it wasn't a team. It was an awful mess.
I've said like he's got to prove. For me, if he gets top 4, it's like he's great, but now you've got to take us to the next level.
Yeah.
If everyone's been saying that you're the guy to take us there, so you've got to take us there. And if you get us competing for where we were back in 2004, right, which is competing for leagues, then for me, I'll say I was wrong, right? But until that, I'm not gonna accept anything else because anything else is not where I don't think Arsenal should be.
Arsenal should be aiming to,
because we got rid of Wenger.
You know,
we got rid of Wenger because we were fed up with finishing 4th. So why would I want to back someone who can't?
No, it's going to be very difficult to topple Man City all the time. Guardiola's there and the manager, same as Liverpool, but there's no harm in trying to set that as your goal. You know,
but
we don't want to be finished above Tottenham. That was always, ever since I've been an Arsenal supporter, that wasn't even a question. It was just a given. So, you know, that's not our target. Our target is Liverpool and City, and that's what it should be.
To be fair with Liverpool and Man City, though, and Liverpool have actually done well in they probably just like Klopp's been there double the amount of time that Arteta's been there, and he's spent probably about just as much as Arteta.
Yeah, probably.
So but we've got them.
But
I think we've
they've
got them.
got a little bit
something on
lucky. You know, they've got a little bit lucky. You know,
Yeah,
call
I
it
also
luck, call it skills. Salah.
yeah.
You know, no one knew Salah was going to be that player. You know, he's absolutely set the
Oh,
Premier League
absolutely.
alight
It's like
year on year. So
Robertson as well when he signed
yeah,
for
no one knew
Hull
Salah
as
and
well.
Mane were going to score like 50, 60 goals a season between them. And you know that whatever team you play in, if you've got two players that are scoring between 50 and 60 goals, you're going to have a chance, aren't you? So
Diaz as well looks a massive.
yeah,
Looks a great signing as well.
Liverpool are an incredible club. They've
But
done brilliant with Klopp. But
what I will say is that it shows that you can do it
of course you
even
can.
with not spending
It's
that
recruitment
much.
is the
You've got
recruitment is the
spending the
thing.
right
If you've got a
areas.
tactical and inept manager or tactically adept manager, and recruitment is good, then yeah, you can compete.
Big up. Yeah, mate. We need to upgrade on our move before we can compete this season. I think there's just talk
I'm very
between.
confident we'll finish above Spurs next season. Really confident about that. I think
I hope
above
so.
Spurs.
I hope so.
No, we'll finish above Spurs. Spurs were very lucky last year.
But then
They
to
finished a
me,
point above us, and we dropped a lot of silly points. And Spurs got 8 points, I think, or only dropped 2 points to Liverpool, and Man City. That is incredible. You know, they're not going to do that again. As it turned out, that was the big difference between third and fourth and fifth. They beat Man City home and away. You know, no one else done that.
To be fair, though, with when I look at it, when I watch the North London derbies, when I start worrying about like where Tottenham are and everything, because for me, like, yeah, okay, if we finish above Tottenham, that's great, brilliant, lovely, but for me, it's not the be all and end all. It's like I'm more focused about where we're finishing as a club, and
oh yeah, it's like I said, it's never been a thing finishing above Tottenham. It was always just a given. You know, it's just nothing to sort of shout about. It's just just a given. But no, I think we've got to be looking at. I think we should be setting our target for third. Really, you know, no one knows what United are going to be like this year, but they're in a bit of a mess. Chelsea. Who knows what's happened to Chelsea? You know, they're all.
Well, they've had Liverpool derail their Nunes deal, haven't they?
Exactly. So, you know, I think we might not get third, but I think third has to be our target. We have to be looking to sort of really push on, and yeah, let's just hope.
Conte's first season, he finished. Yeah. Well, 6 months in it. So, but there you go. Isn't it what a league manager do? Yeah.
Right, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, you're gonna have to call it a day. Thanks to everyone that's tuning in the chat as well.
I'll
Joe,
come on again if you want. If you want, at the end of the transfer window, we can do it all again.
Yeah, absolutely.
We won't be guesswork then. We can talk about what's actually happened instead of
absolutely. You're more than welcome to come back anytime.
Okay, we'll do it. We'll do it when the transfer window's closed. We'll do it again.
There you go. So there we go. We'll have Joe Perry back on and towards the end of this end of the window. I really do appreciate you coming on. Good luck with obviously with the snooker.
Yep.
And yeah, hopefully it won't be just the Welsh Open you're winning this.
No, that'd be nice.
You're winning this year, so win some more. But yeah, big up to everyone that's in the chat. Sorry if I couldn't get to everyone's comments. Yeah, make sure you smash the like button, hit the share button as well, hit the subscribe button, and yeah, guys, we'll see you soon. Until then, take care. Bye bye.
See ya. Bye bye.